Welcome to Direct Approach, a bi-weekly podcast hosted by Wayne Moorhead, filled with timely insights, fresh perspectives, and actionable takeaways from your direct selling executive peers to help fuel the growth and evolution of your business. Ever wonder if direct selling companies can actually sustain year-over-year growth for a decade straight? Defying gravity in the direct sales world, the company pawTree has increased revenue every single year since its founding and are now celebrating their 10th year anniversary. Don't miss the latest Direct Approach podcast as Wayne talks with pawTree's founder and CEO, Roger Morgan, about their remarkable consistency, resilience, and innovative approach to beating the odds. But before we begin, we'd like to thank this episode's sponsor, iPayout. Does your growing direct sales organization need a more powerful payments platform? iPayout is your ultimate partner, offering tailored solutions for seamless global payouts and efficient management. With support for over 180 currencies and an all-encompassing global tax suite, iPayout ensures transparency and control on a single, robust platform. Streamline your payouts by offering more options to your sellers, empowering your business to thrive on a global stage. Choose iPayout, where innovation meets efficiency. Now let's welcome your host, Wayne Moorhead, and his guest, Roger Morgan.
Hello and welcome to another episode of DSN's Direct Approach podcast. I am your host, Wayne Moorhead, and today I'm excited to welcome back a guest that's going to share with us some of the results, the insights, and learnings from some of the strategies and initiatives that we discussed on the last podcast that they've implemented since then. I know him well. I'm fortunate to know him well and to have worked with him. He has an incredibly impressive background, beginning with an MBA from Harvard Business School, to strategy positions at Boston Consulting Group, Walt Disney Imagineering, KPMG, and more. He founded a direct selling company 10 years ago. Congrats on your 10-year anniversary. And it's been recognized by Inc. 5000, by DSA Rising Star Award, and recently DSU recognized as one of the companies with 3 consecutive years of growth. I'm excited to welcome back Roger Morgan, founder and CEO of pawTree. Roger, thank you so much for being here.
I am delighted to be here with you today, Wayne. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, I've been really looking forward to this. We had a great conversation last time. There was a lot of cool things that you were working on. And so we're really excited to dig in on some of the results. And again, just congratulations to you and everybody there at the home office on 10 incredible years. Most companies don't make it one. So the fact that you're 10 years and still growing strong is such an incredible accomplishment.
Thank you. It's been a fun year. We decided our 10-year anniversary was technically, I think, January 23rd of 2024. And we decided we are going to celebrate our 10-year anniversary all year long. So we have continued to do that and celebrate and enjoy. We have cake whenever possible and just have all kinds of ways to celebrate with the field. But it's been a lot of fun. 10 years is a big milestone, and we really do feel honored to have made it to that incredible space. And we're happy to be one of the companies, the handful of direct sales companies who have grown for 3 consecutive years. We actually have grown for 10 consecutive years. So we have had, knock on wood, every year has been bigger than the last for all years that we've been in business. And so far, 2024 looks like it's on track to do the same. So we're really grateful and fortunate and honored to be part of a fantastic industry.
Absolutely. There is so much to celebrate, and we're excited to continue to watch for another 10 years. So we'll be there watching, cheering from the sidelines there. Well, one of the things, Roger, that I really admire most about pawTree and you as a leader is the drive and the willingness that you have to experiment and try new things. I think that's a really important approach, especially in today's direct selling landscape where we know things are shifting. We know the consumer's changing. There's generational shifts, cultural shifts that are happening. And so it's important that we as companies try new things and learn from one another. And so I'm really excited to dig in on that. You really do push past a lot of the conventional approaches in direct selling. It's very much a test, learn, scale approach. And I'm curious, was that approach kind of born from your time in management consulting? Is that something you brought into pawTree? Is it something that just kind of grew organically? Can you talk a little bit about that approach and that leadership style?
Yeah, it's actually, I hadn't really thought about it until you phrased it that way. I think it's probably a little bit of all of that's kind of culminated in the approach that we take at pawTree. But even thinking back to my management consulting days at Boston Consulting Group, we always had a very hypothesis-driven approach to solving problems. So, you never went out and just did market research and see what insights came up, or went out and did surveys, or even got databases of data and just kind of started looking. You always started with a hypothesis that you believed something was true, either based on your own experience or interviewing other executives, or so forth. And then you'd go out to prove or disprove that with the data or with experiments. And so I think that probably has been a little bit ingrained from some of my early days in consulting. But I think, having a hypothesis-driven approach, like what do I think? What do I believe? What does my experience tell me? And then going out and proving or disproving it on a pretty rapid pace, because you don't have to have a perfect experiment to know if you're heading in the right direction.
Absolutely. And starting with that kind of hypothesis in mind is so important. And just having it from kind of a corporate culture standpoint, where you kind of give permission throughout the organization to do that, to test, to learn, to try new things. How did you work on, I know, just based on the last conversation, how you developed that approach? How did you help to kind of cascade that down and through the organization where other people took that same approach as well?
It's a great question, and I'm sure, I don't do it perfectly. I'm sure there's a lot of opportunities to do it better. But I think one of the things that I try to do as the leader is to choose what you celebrate. And you don't have to only celebrate results. You can celebrate trying things, and you can celebrate ideas. You can celebrate speed to try things, and you can celebrate learnings. And you can celebrate a lot of things that aren't perfection. And I will say it's interesting. I think part of a company culture, when you have this type of, test, learn, iterate approach in the culture, it's really hard for people who are perfectionists. And it's interesting because I'm a very type A person. I have big goals. I've always had big goals. I like to do things right. I like to win. And it's I think very difficult to throw into that and being a perfectionist at it. You can be very type A, very driven, very so forth and so on, but when you kind of throw a perfectionist in there, I think it slows people down, and when you have to get everything right in order to do anything at all. And I think that's something that is also challenging in a culture of testing and iterating and trying things, is recognizing you're going to try some things that aren't perfect, and you could do it better, but you're going to do it now instead of doing it better or perfect later. And I think there's a huge competitive advantage in speed. I think speed, and you can be a big company or a little company, but speed, especially in a changing environment like the direct sales industry is in right now, speed is a competitive advantage. And so a lot of that is how quickly can you come up with ideas, execute ideas, try things, learn from them, and then either move away from it because it didn't work, or move more toward it based on what you learned. And that's, I guess, what I've tried to do in instilling that type of culture within pawTree, but it's a work in progress. We're certainly not perfect at it.
No, I know several of the people there, and I know that it has definitely made its way to them, and they've kind of adopted this same kind of test, learn, scale approach. And I love that you talked about the concept of celebrating trying things or experimenting. Oftentimes we only celebrate the wins, which then has the tendency to reinforce, better be a win, better get it right, better nail it, or, heads will roll. But celebrating trying things is a whole different concept, a whole different philosophy that really gives those people in the organization the permission to try, the permission to fail. Because I agree with you. I think part of finding things that work, you're inevitably going to, stumble across things that don't work. And it's just as important to find those things and move them off to the side to kind of clear away and, be able to dedicate resources to that. Was that also kind of a challenge, helping people understand, hey, not just celebrate wins, but there is a permission to fail. There's a fail. I'm kind of saying that in quotes, meaning trying
Sure.
something based on a hypothesis, based on great data or insights. And if it doesn't work, it's a learning and we move on. Was that kind of a challenge as well?
It is. I think it's always a challenge. It's part of our, human psyche. I think that we want to do things right. We want them to all be wins. And so, no doubt that has been a challenge, and I think will continue to be, just to, again, give ourselves permission to try things. And I actually, I don't mind the word fail. In fact, I think it was on a direct selling university stage that I gave a talk once called Fail Fast. And I think, failing fast, obviously, you don't want to fail on everything you do, but failing fast helps you get quicker to the win. What is the right thing? And if you spend all your time doing the one thing that ends up being a failure, where you could have done 10 things and 9 of them were a failure, but you found the one thing that was the right thing by going fast and failing fast and trying new things. I'm a believer in that. And so, but you're right, it is a challenge culturally to allow people to, to kind of get out of our own way and realize that it's okay to try things that don't work, especially, as I've said, in a changing environment, because nobody knows. If everybody had the answer, we would just do that. So, we don't fail at things that we know what's right or wrong, but usually in a business environment, and especially in a changing business environment, nobody knows what's right or wrong. And so the name of the game is try things, get out there and experiment and do it quickly. And not because you want to fail at something, but it's because nobody knows what's the right thing. So you got to experiment and go try something.
Absolutely. And I think, the operative word there is fast, on fail fast. And that just doesn't mean a quick experiment, but it also means limited investment. And I know that's one thing that you and the team have been great at. It doesn't have to be this huge initiative that takes 5 months to develop and 2 months to implement and 6 months to get data back. But you and your team have been amazing at saying, we're going to put a little bit of budget, take a couple of weeks. It could be on a paid ad, it could be on Amazon, it could be on many of these things that you've tried. But that fail fast is also kind of fail cheap. Develop these hypotheses, adjust these hypotheses, and then move forward.
100%. Yeah, I love that. Fail fast and fail cheap.
Yeah, fail cheap for sure. Well, definitely these strategies and initiatives that you've implemented require a really clear understanding of the landscape that you're playing in, the category, the competition, the consumer, the consultants, all those great alliterative C words. And this is definitely a continual process. I know that this is something that you continually dig in on, but it's also great to bring in some third-party perspective, some outside perspective at times. And I know you did this bringing in Heather Chastain and Bridgehead Collective. Can you talk a little bit about the driver behind needing this kind of third party or outside perspective as you were developing these go forward strategies?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm a huge fan of Heather and Bridgehead Collective. They do
Me
great
too.
work. And, I think for us, it was already a strategic imperative for us to figure out how to appeal to the next generation of sellers. And, and, we certainly had a lot of our own hypotheses, a lot of our own plans that were already either in place that we had completed, or things that we were working on, when I found out about this Bridgehead Collective study and the work that Heather and her team could do to come, share that and actually apply it specifically company by company, not just the data, but then come in and kind of do an audit of our process and tell us, based on, what demographics we're going after, which generations we're going after, how does our proposition stack up to them. And so when I heard about that, back to the idea of, failing fast, failing cheap, we already had made a commitment to do better with the next generation of sellers. We already had a lot of our own hypotheses. And I thought, why wouldn't we bring in that kind of third party expertise, that's what they've been looking at, and they've got data kind of backing it up. And it doesn't mean that we have to do everything that they recommend, but why wouldn't we? And again, kudos to Heather and her team. I think they've put together a really compelling, set of data and expertise and information at a very reasonable price. So when I looked at that, I thought, this is a kind of on the thought of fail fast and fail cheap. I knew we weren't going to fail by trying to do better with the next generation, but this was a fairly inexpensive way for them to come in and very quickly give us some very actionable insights around our strategy on appealing to that next generation of sellers. So that's kind of why we chose to engage with them. And we had some really fun opportunities and some great insights that came out of it.
Yeah, that is definitely one of their expertise is understanding today's consumer and today's distributor or consultant. And there's definitely been more change, I think, in the last few years as it relates kind of generationally to this group coming in, what motivates them, what drives them, what are their needs and wants and desires, and having a great understanding of who we're serving today, these people that are coming in today, and this large generation and cohort that will be the future leaders. Our entire distributor base and customer base is going to be made up of this group. So it's so important to understand what they want from us as companies. What do you feel were some of the key insights from this that helped to inform some of these strategies and initiatives?
There were honestly quite a few, and I'd say they ranged from very simple. And I would also say the far majority of them were very actionable. That was another thing that she kind of pitched to us at the beginning, that they would come with actionable insights, which I think they did a great job following through on. And so some were very quick and easy to implement. Others take more time and thought and decision making to implement, and some were recommended that we just decided not to do for whatever reason. Maybe we just didn't agree with the recommendation. So you get the whole gamut. But I would say, I mean, just to give you a flavor, I remember one of the insights that was simple but very actionable, and we changed it probably within the week of the insight coming, which was on our website and in our materials, we used the word join us or sign up or things like that, and they said those words are not very attractive to that next generation, and they suggested we change those words to words like start today. And it's a very simple change. I mean, it's semantics on the surface, but it's like, it does kind of have a different tone to it. And so that was an easy thing for us. We took, several of those types of suggestions and made immediate changes that didn't take a lot of time or effort to kind of jump on board. I'll give you one other example that was probably more validating of a direction we were heading in, but we have for many, many years, we've tested the concept of a $1 enrollment. So instead of, driving people to buy a several $100 kit at enrollment to join us as a distributor, which we call a Pet Pro, we've tested and we've brought it, maybe once or twice a year. We'll do it for a month or so, a $1 enrollment, and you don't get a kit, you don't get, materials, but you can get a link and start sharing and become one of our distributors. And that type of low barrier to entry was very validated through the study and through their findings, and as they kind of looked through all of our materials and process. And so it actually supported something that we were considering doing, and we ended up doing, which was we moved forward this year with a plan to offer a $0 enrollment and a 0 web fee for 12 months. So it literally costs nothing for somebody to come in and sign up and get their link and try it out for a year and see what happens. And we still have our product pack, if they want to buy a product pack, people can still do that. But the far majority of our enrollments right now come in on this $0 enrollment, very low commitment. And it's been, we'll find, I mean, it's again, early. We made that change in April of 2024. So we've still got some time to kind of see how it goes, but it certainly has accelerated the rate of sponsoring, and I think made it easier to appeal to that next generation of seller.
Yeah, many of these might seem very simple and maybe even insignificant, but they can have a huge impact from an enrollment, from a retention standpoint. It is amazing how some of these small tweaks, again, kind of getting back to this, fail fast and fail cheap, but these little small tweaks can really move a strategy one way or the other. And I love that there's some of these quick wins that you can implement. And there's also some that are going to require a lot more or time and effort implementing. Were there any of these that really surprised you? That when Heather came back and Bridgehead Collective came back with some of these insights, you're like, man, I did not think that at all. I thought we were, focused more on this, but this is what they really want.
There is one, and it shouldn't have been surprising when you kind of play it back, but it was surprising because it wasn't even on my radar to consider addressing or fixing. But it was the compensation plan. They let us know that the compensation plan is filled with what they called industry speak, like PV and DV and CV and leg requirements and et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, after being in the industry, 10 years, and most of the listeners here probably been in longer than that, we just kind of get accustomed to it. We know our own language, we know our own speak. But the point was, if you're really going to appeal to that next generation of seller, you might want to reconsider, are there ways to talk about a compensation plan in more, real person speak as opposed to, or friendly language approach as opposed to industry speak. So that's one that did surprise me. Again, in hindsight, it probably shouldn't have, because I think we can all look at our comp plan language and go, wow, I mean, this doesn't even, you got to have a PhD to read through this. And we try to make them simple, but there probably are ways that we can, kind of come to the new century of verbiage and language and making it more streamlined, accessible, simple, user-friendly to that next generation of seller.
Yeah, many of the vocabulary and lexicon that we use can be very confusing to the uninitiated. To us, we're so close to it, it just seems intuitive. But I think that helps to remove a lot of the friction, especially now as so much is happening online and digitally, where you're not going to get that face-to-face explanation maybe in the first meeting. And so keeping that as simple as possible. I know you also shared with me something along the lines around commission was how you spoke about earning the income potential, kind of where to speak to today's consultants and consumers. Can you talk a little bit about where you landed on that?
Sure. Yeah. I think as an industry, there was a time that we like to talk about the dream and, buying the big house or buying the boat or, buying the car or having complete financial independence and those kinds of things. And, one of the insights that Heather shared from various stages in various ways, and probably most listeners have heard, is that's not really, it's not compelling. It's not believable to this next generation of sellers. So when you say it, you lose credibility. They're not really necessarily looking for that. I mean, sure, everybody's looking for, financial freedom, but it's not really what they're looking for. What they're really looking for is a path to make $300 to $500 a month and put together multiple streams of income from multiple sources. They're not, confident in putting all their eggs in one basket, and they don't believe that you can have this dream of that massively, better life. They just want, most want a path to make $300 to $500 a month. And so that's also been something we've incorporated into our training materials, our compensation plan, documents, our reporting, even our internal and our back office reporting, to help people know, who on the team is making $300 or more a month in commissions, and who's close, and how do we help those people get to that level? Because if we can help them get to $300 to $500 a month in monthly income, they'll stick around. They'll be very happy. They'll go recruit others, even if it's by accident, because they're just talking about this stream of income that's working for them. And so that's where we landed, is we're really focused on, the $300 a month story. How do we train to that? How do we coach to that? How do we report on that? How do we monitor that? How do we celebrate that? And I would say that really is the focus. Not that we don't want people to come in and be leaders and build, massive teams and massive incomes, but that will happen as we attract masses of people to make $300 a month. By definition, there will be, cream rise to the top for those leaders who really want to live the bigger dream. But it's more a matter of focus, and sequence for us, that we're focused on the first part of that, which is getting a lot of people making $300 or more a month.
I love that you talked about sequencing, because that also leads to segmentation, which I know we're going to get into here in a couple of minutes, but it is about delivering the right message to the right person at the right time. Traditionally, we would kind of speak with one voice to one audience, assuming everybody has the same drivers. And that's definitely not the case now. And again, it's another little change to make, just some of the messaging. But for us in direct selling, it's actually a big shift from how we used to message, how we used to ladder up those communications. It is a significant shift for us to make, a quick change to implement. I know you said it's only been a few months on some of these, but I'm curious on what you're seeing with the results. Are there positive indicators that these changes are having an impact, that it's resonating and creating deeper connections with customers and consultants?
Yeah, I would say the leading indicators are positive. The lagging indicators, which are usually more the results, I'd say I really think we need some more time. I haven't seen any dramatic change in that, just being transparent. But what I have seen on the leading indicators, let's take, for example, even the $0 enrollment, the zero web fees, making it very easy to join, changing some of the language about joining. We'll get into it, I think, a little bit later, but I'll share with you one of the things that has been a result of that is we've started testing some ads on advertising the business opportunity. So I think a lot of companies are still trying to get their head around how do we advertise, how do we go out and do Google ads and Facebook ads about our products and kind of have a D2C type business. We've been doing that for several years. We've now started going out and advertising the business opportunity, and we're having a lot of success with that. And we couldn't have done that if we still had, enrollment kits and web fees and some of the language that we used to have. It wouldn't be as easy to just run an ad, have somebody see it, get it, click it, enroll, get their link. And so I would say that's an early indicator that it's working. We need to help those people get engaged, sell the product, make $300 a month. And that, I think, will make, the flywheel spin even faster. And will certainly be more of the true fruits of success that I could stand, maybe at a future date and say, here's what's happened on those people making money and making $300 a month and sponsoring other people. But at least our funnel is filling up faster than ever it has before because of some of these changes.
Yeah, I want to dig in on that a little bit deeper. And you brought up a really important and interesting point there around some of the changes that you've made, some of the ways you've simplified. So as we move more digital, again, the need to remove all friction, to make things a click or two, really easy processes to purchase from us, to enroll with us. That wasn't always the case. And until you've kind of created that foundation and simplified that, there is almost no point sometimes in doing some of these other initiatives like paid advertising, because you're paying to run people into brick walls.
Yep.
You might be filling a great funnel and bringing lots of traffic to the website, but ultimately, if you haven't optimized that, you're not going to be able to convert or really have any impact on that. And in the paid social advertising, this is another area where direct selling companies haven't traditionally ventured. And one of the things that was really encouraging to me at the last DSU in the spring, and you and I were in the same meeting, kind of pre-meeting, it was great to hear that there were more companies moving into paid advertising and trying this. And this is, again, kind of another one of my soapboxes where I think that much of the future in our marketing is going to shift to this. It's going to shift to the paid, to really partner with our distributors and consultants to help convert, to help prospect, to help nurture all of these leads and these people through their journeys. But we don't really have the muscle memory. We don't have a lot of the talent that's necessary. But you, and I think it was two others in this meeting, said, oh yeah, we're actually going out and doing that this year, and that the field is really excited. Can you talk a little bit more about what type of ads you're running? You mentioned recruiting. Where does or would or doesn't product advertising fit in there? Can you talk about the types of ads that you're running?
Sure. Yeah, happy to. So we've been doing product ads, and I would call it kind of in a D2C model, right? Direct to consumer, where we're running an ad, driving them to a website, hoping that they purchase. and then, following up after they purchase with direct marketing, through email, and so forth. We've been doing that for a few years, and I would say most of that is, on the Meta platforms and Google. We've had the most success on Google with our product, product ads. And, for us, we're doing that for about a $50 customer acquisition cost. And we have a really good first order value, average order value, and we've got really strong retention with our pet products that are highly consumable. And so a $50 cost of acquisition is really good for us, and we can do a lot of that and get a good ROI for that. Every company is going to have a different cost of acquisition. Every company is going to have a different ROI based on their lifetime value. But for us, that's been excellent. And we also, there's different philosophies on this, different ways to do it. I'll just share how we've done it, but I think there are, 4 or 5 variations on that could be the appropriate one for the, different companies. But we don't pay any commissions on those sales that come direct to the corporate office through these ads. We have a very good way of making sure that we don't, get a customer, get a pet, like one of our reps customers, because once a customer has signed up under a rep, they are attached to that rep. So even if they if they clicked on one of our ads and purchased, they would still go under the rep that they were under previously. So we would never unintentionally take a customer from an existing distributor. But it's all so it's all for the incremental sales that are direct to the company, we don't pay a commission. And so we use that savings of no commission to help fund the ads along with the favorable lifetime value and the customer acquisition. So it's a math exercise. Everybody's going to have a different formula that works for them, but we found that it works really well. And one of the things that we, in particular, because we have, we're 10 years old, but I still feel like, the far majority of people in our market, people who have pets haven't heard of pawTree. They don't know of pawTree. And so there's a lot of opportunity for us for brand awareness and building the brand. That also helps raise the tide for all of our pet pros out there who are trying to sell the products and trying to help people understand what this company is and who we are and what products we have. And so raising brand awareness helps everybody. And we certainly would never poach a customer from one of our reps. And if down the road a customer that found us through a Google ad and has been buying direct to the company for 2 years, if down the road a pet pro finds them and says, "Oh, you know what, I can have you be my customer," we'll change them in 2 seconds. All they have to do is call in or email to our support. We move them under the pet pro, and we're happy to have a pet pro nurture that customer ongoing, and help to upsell and be a resource for that customer. So it really ends up being a win-win. There are some challenges, I will say, to trying to run ads, digital marketing ads in a direct selling business, because you do end up getting, it's very difficult to weed out advertising to people who are already your customers or already your reps. And so you do end up sometimes getting people clicking on ads that we have to pay for and going and making a purchase on a replicated site for somebody else that they were probably going to make anyway. They just happen to Google us and click on the ad rather than going to pawTree.com in their browser and not having us pay for an ad. And so we factor all that into our math, though, and we don't give ourselves credit for those sales. We just basically, that's a cost of, so our true cost is even less, because our $50 cost of acquisition includes a bunch of false clicks, so to speak. But that's all part of kind of wrestling through how to do this in an industry where you've got all these replicated websites out there and other places where people can the type of people who can purchase and end up not really giving attribution to the corporate ad, because they go buy on a replicated site. But it's been positive. I would say net, we're happy with it. We've put a fair amount of money into this type of D2C digital marketing, and it's growing our brand, it's growing sales, and it's and it's contributing. So it's been net positive for us.
If you missed any part of the Spring DSU event or just want to revisit some of the speakers and topics, replays are accessible in the DSU On-Demand Library. The library is an exclusive resource for DSN supporter companies, one of many benefits designed to help keep you and your teams engaged, informed, and one step ahead. If you work at a supporter company, simply log in using your unique company code to access this event's content, plus over 250 presentations from previous educational events. If you are interested in becoming a DSN supporter, you can contact us at support@directsellingnews.com. We also invite you to join us at the Fall DSU event happening September 23rd through 25th at the Irving Convention Center in Irving, Texas. Registration is free. Visit dsnevents.com today.
One of the things that you've done that's really interesting that, again, I've never heard another direct selling company do before is around this idea of brand collaborations. We're used to those from the D2C world, from other channels. It's a really important part of the marketing funnel from a direct to consumer perspective, usually, where you're giving essentially another brand access to your customers and consultants and vice versa, and hoping kind of the halo from each, that the rising tide is going to lift both of those ships. But we've never, at least that I can think of, we've never really seen it in direct selling. Can you talk a little bit about the genesis for this idea around brand collaborations within direct selling?
Yeah, happy to. It's interesting. This goes back to the April DSU meeting. And just before that, I was talking to a friend of mine outside of the industry who was the CEO of Solo Stove. They're an outdoor brand, fire pits and things like that. And he was telling me how they had done some brand collaborations with other outdoor brands like Yeti. They did like a giveaway for a Yeti cooler and a Solo Stove, fire pit, and they kind of use their social media platforms to advertise this kind of co-branded giveaway and help get into each other's network of consumer databases, and I gave them an audience to kind of go retarget after and so forth. And so I had that on my mind, and I was sitting at the CEO day for the DSU meeting in April and looking around the room, and I just thought to myself, pawTree doesn't compete with any of these companies for share of wallet. And in fact, I'm sure most of the companies could say the same about the other companies in the room, that they just don't compete. But I know for sure we don't compete, because just because you buy a face cream doesn't mean you're not going to feed your pet that month. Or just because you buy a nutritional supplement for yourself doesn't mean you're not going to feed your pet that month. So I am confident that we don't compete for the same share of wallet as anybody else in the room, as I was kind of looking around. And I thought to myself, why not? I mean, I hadn't seen it done before, but why couldn't we, or why wouldn't we do some brand collaborations and help support each other within the industry to get our message, our product, our word out to a different pool of people, and vice versa, and help each other with brand awareness through some type of a collaboration. And so that was the genesis of the idea, and it's taken on a few flavors ever since then, but that was the genesis of the idea.
So I'm curious, on average, what was the reception? I'm guessing some were pretty protective of brand and distributors and customers. Was it more kind of trepidation or more excitement? I'm curious what that was like.
It's very interesting. There were a handful of very hesitant, kind of keep things close to the vest conversations, but I would say I was pleasantly surprised with the number of positive responses to doing something together. And I think people being, open-minded and just creative, being willing to be creative and say, how might we? And I got to give credit just immediately to Nancy Bogart at Jordan Essentials. She was like me, this kind of fail fast. Let's try something. Let's get out. I talked to her. We jumped on a Zoom the next week. We got our teams on a call like a couple days later. We launched a collaboration in June that hadn't ever been even imagined to be before like the end of April. So within 30 days, it went from concept to launch. And and we tried it, and just got out and tried some things. So she was fantastic. I had several others who were instantly, willing to say, let's do something together. And so we've actually done 3 collaborations at this point, just a few months, after this idea was birthed, and have several more in the pipeline. But I would say overall, I was actually pleasantly surprised with how open I think people were, other CEOs were, to the idea of collaborating and supporting one another with getting kind of, access into each other's pools of customer communication and distributor communication.
That's great. You don't have to get into the names of all the brands that you've done the collaborations with, but I'm curious, can you share some of the forms that these collaborations or promotions took, just as examples for people to consider?
Yes, happy to. I would say there are two primary forms that we've tried at this point. Both of these we have tried, and I think are pretty easy. The first is a product collaboration where you literally let each field sell the other company's product. And what we did with that, and again, I was just in the mode of, let's just try something. Let's not overthink it. Let's do something easy, simple. So rather than, new product innovation or new packaging or new, labels or anything like that, I shared with several of these companies, why don't we take a product that they have to have some marketing synergy, right? There's some reason why these 2 products go together, but we'll take one of our pawTree products, we'll take one of your company's products, we'll put those together as a bundle. And let's just say if our product retails at $50, they choose a product that retails at about $50. We make the combined retail $100. So it's the same price that we're selling it today. And we create a SKU that has those 2 products together, and we give that SKU to both fields to sell at the same price. You sell it on your comp plan, we'll sell it on our comp plan. You sell it on your website, we'll sell it on our website. So we don't have to get into overthinking complexities. It's just like, just package this thing together. And even when I say package, it just ships together, right? It's just packaged on the website together as an item, but it's 2 separate things. Sell it at the same price. We don't have to overthink compensation or anything else. We agreed to sell it at cost to them. They agreed to sell it at cost to us. That way, everybody's margins and markups needed for the comp plan work. And both fields, you announce it. We did a collaborative announcement. So me and the CEO of the other companies, we've done it 3 times. We got on a live or a recorded video and announced it to the fields. We recorded 2 videos. So me and the CEO, for the first video, we recorded where I was the host and they were my guest, and I introduced them to my field and they talked about their product, and I got to share why we collaborated with this company. And then we flipped it. We stopped recording and we would do it the opposite way. And they would interview me as I'm the guest, they're the host, and they're talking to their field. And why do we collaborate with Roger and pawTree? And so that's the way we announced it, launched it, gave it to both fields for a limited time, do it for 1 month, and let people get out there and have something new to talk about. And so we were able to give, over the course of 3 months, we had over 3 months, we gave 3 different non-pet companies the opportunity to talk about a pet product with their field, with their customers. And what I know is that 2/3 of all distributors out there, that all of the distributors, 2/3 of the customers they have pets. So 2/3 of the people they're already talking to are already target rich for what we have to offer, and doesn't impede on the share of wallet that they have in terms of the product that they're already selling. And so it's a win-win. It gave them something new to go talk about that was exciting. It gave us the opportunity to get into some new pools of potential customers, and vice versa. It gave us something to go talk about that was new and exciting, a human product that we never sell. We only sell pet products. So we had a chance to go sell a human product and give our field that excitement and energy to go talk about a human product with their current customers. And again, there was always some type of synergy of why the products go together. I can give you, if you want, I'm not trying to do a commercial for all these companies, but as an example, we have an immunity product for pets that we actually just launched. It's a fantastic product that's got a 5 different blends of mushrooms, a proprietary blend of 5 mushrooms and multiple other ingredients. Fabulous immunity product for pets. Well, For Life has a fantastic immunity product for humans. And so we partnered on an immunity product. So it has some of their human products, some of our pet product bundled at a one price, and we can sell it. Both fields can sell it and allow people to get some access into different people's pools. So that's the first example, is a actual product collaboration where we give a product to both fields to go sell for a limited time. The second model that we've used is not actually selling a product, but just a giveaway. So a brand collaboration giveaway. And this is where, both companies, you basically take something from your product line and say, okay, we're going to give away, in our case, we gave away, I think it was $1,000 of pawTree product. And the other company gave away, a value of their product. And then we advertise that through our social media, both companies, through our email marketing, through the field. They could go market it to their people to say, hey, go sign up for this. You could win, X $1,000 of free products with this collaboration with these two companies. And then at the end of the contest, we do the drawing, we award the prize to whoever it was that won. And then what both companies can do at that point is say to, we have a whole email list now, right? There's a bunch of people who signed up for the potential to win that free product. Well, we can check that against our database, and we see, okay, we had X thousand new names, new emails on our database list. So to those people, we send a thank you for playing, so to speak, email at the end and say, hey, we awarded the winner. Sorry it wasn't you, but here's an offer to come back to pawTree and try one of our products at X% off. Thanks for playing in the contest. And now they don't think we're spam because they know why we emailed them. And then when we email them in a couple weeks from now and a couple more weeks from now, we start nurturing a relationship. So it basically gave us access to a whole new pool of customers to communicate with. And the same thing happens on the other side, right? The other company does the same thing, and now they've got a new list of emails that they can market to. So those are the two ways that we've done it. One being a product collaboration where we're literally selling the other company's product for a short period of time. The other being a giveaway where we're basically just collecting email addresses and then sharing them among both companies to have a new pool of people to go market to from an email perspective.
It's so interesting. I'm excited to continue to see the results of this, but I love the collaboration that continues to happen within the channel. And I bet you will see more and more of this. And I want to continue down the email route a little bit. We touched on it, but it is definitely one of the unsung heroes in the marketing toolbox, maybe kind of an afterthought sometimes, but it's really been kind of one of your most important tools that you leverage within pawTree to create these kind of customize and bespoke journeys to find different attachment rates and different behavioral triggers to set up another communication and kind of move them along a prescribed path. Can you talk a little bit about how you are using email marketing and marketing automation with the field and with customers?
Absolutely. This is something that I've always known we wanted to do, we should do. It's probably one of those things in the we should be doing this better column. I know we've all got a long list of those things, and it's not a matter of coming up with the idea. It's a matter of prioritizing it and putting the resources behind it. But I would say in the last 2 years, we've really improved our ability to with email marketing, customer prospect, pet pro marketing via email. And that is a combination of getting a team member who could really focus on it and develop the expertise, and getting a software, a tool, which we use, Klaviyo, which has been fantastic. We used to actually use Salesforce, and I don't know if it was because we didn't have the right team member who could own it and manage it, or if it was too complicated for us, for us and our kind of where we're in our business. But we never really, we were never able to really get that working for us. But in the last couple of years, we've I think we've really hit a great stride. And it's just amazing how many ways we have these different campaigns, right? So we have certainly the basic campaigns that probably most companies have, a new customer journey or a new pet pro journey when they join. You start a drip campaign that takes them, several weeks or maybe even months of information that's kind of spoon fed out to them over a period of time. Those make sense, but we've been able to do so much more than that. I'll give you one just simple example, but let's take, for example, we launched a freeze-dried food about a year and a half ago, and it's it's by far our best food that we could ever imagine seeing on the market. We're just so happy with it. It's certainly our best food, but it's the best food that we know of on the market. So it's fantastic, and from a quality perspective, it's also lighter weight to ship than when we ship our kibble. Like, pet food is really heavy to ship, and it's slightly better margin than our kibble. And so for a lot of reasons, we would like people to use the freeze-dried food versus the kibble. And but the kibble, we've had that for 8 years before we launched the freeze-dried food. So trying to get people aware of it and convert it over to it is a journey. And so with email marketing, you can do such wonderful segmentation. We can look in our database and see, this is just one example of like 100 that I could use, but we can look in the database and see who buys food. So we know that they're open-minded to buying pet food, because we sell a lot of things other than pet food. Who's buying food? Who's never tried our freeze-dried food? And we can send them a targeted email with an offer to say, hey, here's a special discount to try our freeze-dried food. And we can track whether, of course, they open it or don't open it. If they do, we take them down one path. If they don't, we continue to drip on another path. We've even tried things like, okay, let's give an offer that's a little bit of a discount. And then 2 weeks later, if they still haven't bid on that, we'll give them a little more of a discount. And then, a month later, we give them our final biggest discount, and it's all built into the journey and automated. So nobody's having to track any of that. So we've got multiple email journeys taking place all at the same time. And that's also part of managing it, is to make sure that one customer doesn't get, 10 emails in the same day from 10 different journeys. But again, that's all part of the automation through Klaviyo. You can specify that if somebody's on one drip and they've already been communicated, don't send the other one. So it's fantastic. I'm a big believer. There's a lot that can be done. There's a lot that we are doing, and a lot more, honestly, that we still will do in the coming quarters ahead with email marketing.
Yeah, you've been really strategic in how you've leveraged and deployed the marketing automation. It's really impressive. I think there's a lot that we can all learn from what pawTree's done there. And again, I think it's one of the best ways that we can partner with consultants to increase sales volume in their organizations and to retain their customers and distributors. It really works hand in hand with them. So I want to move into maybe outside the digital for a minute, into the real world here in real life, and talk a little bit about events. I know you just had your PawFest, again, 10th PawFest, 10th anniversary. What are some of the changes you've made based on some of those findings of today's consumer, today's consultants? How have you changed the format and structure of your events and meetings?
Yeah, it's a great question, and one that I'll credit our team with, who really, took the idea of, how do we appeal to the next generation, and took it not just to, okay, what are the words on the website, or what are the images, or how do we talk to them about our comp plan and train them, but also, and what type of events do we offer them, and what type of events are they interested in? And so we really did, I'd say this year, as part of our 10-year anniversary, we call it PawFest. So, our big annual sales convention is PawFest. We've got lots of those play on words. So you either love it or you roll your eyes, but you know what? We just embrace it. And so at PawFest, we made a deliberate effort this year to create an event that would appeal to the next generation, and not be the conference that your mother or grandmother went to, but to be the conference that like you're excited about going to. And so I would say, I mean, it was kind of start to finish. This year we went to a brand new hotel We've been at the same hotel the previous 9 years. We went to a new, fresh, not only new for us, but the hotel had just been built a couple years ago, and so it was more attractive. It was more fresh. It was just a nicer venue to be in. We had shorter speeches on stage. People don't like to hear long-winded things. They like shorter sound bites. So we shortened people's speeches, including my own, my opening. I think we cut in half. We really tried to get more tight around the messages. We had a lot more time for breakouts and workshops that were led by the field, which is, they want to hear from their peers and hear what's working and kind of be able to pick and choose on the menu. We had a studio that we had set up for making, and then a studio for editing reels, and had people from a marketing team, staffed there to help them, know how to make a reel, and then know how to edit a reel, and then they could post it in real time. So that wasn't like, oh, I got to go home and figure this out. It was like, let's help you do it now. We had product displays that they could use as backdrops for some of those reels. We had a period where they could come ask the founder and the head of product development questions, and we gave them a list of prompts that they could ask, and have a recorded video of them interviewing the head of product development and or the founder of the company, and get a soundbite that they could put on their social media. So we just, from start to finish, tried to make it an event that the people would enjoy coming to and find immediate value from attending.
Yeah, and immediate value for the company as well. Getting those reels out, getting those social assets out to all the following, to all the social circles, I know has a big impact on the company as well. I think that's a really cool approach. So another first that I know of for pawTree, the first two companies that I had heard were selling on Amazon were Prove It and pawTree, that really kind of helped lead the way. And more companies are obviously understanding the importance of, at a minimum, taking kind of a defensive brand protection, price protection approach. Any recent learnings? Again, I know you've been doing it for a few years now, but any other recent learnings on your approach to Amazon, about advertising on Amazon? What's working?
Yes, Amazon, it's interesting because as I've watched the industry evolve on Amazon, I think most companies think about Amazon as a defensive approach. And from day one, I was very straightforward with our field that Amazon for us is both an offensive, maybe firstly an offensive approach, and secondly a defensive approach. And what I mean by that is we just, when whatever the statistic is, 60 whatever percent of all consumer purchases originate on Amazon. People Google it on Amazon, and we're a young brand that has very little brand awareness in our market. How can we afford not to be where people are searching for solutions and at least be there? And so that was honestly our primary reason. The defensive was also helpful, and certainly has been ever since. We don't deal with any unauthorized sellers on Amazon. Zero. I can't think of the last time we had an unauthorized seller on Amazon, because we own our space on Amazon. But I would say it was offensive from the beginning. And one of the things that we've learned that is, in some ways it's unfortunate, but it's I think, in many ways the reality of having an approach on Amazon that you do in a way that protects your direct selling channel is, this is the unfortunate part, but we have, like many others, have a very strict pricing policy. So we price on Amazon higher than what's on our website to protect our pet pros. We don't sell our entire product line on Amazon. We try to, kind of provide enough of the products that people get who we are and then come to our website maybe to look for more. And so those are all, I think, pretty down the middle of the fairway strategies for direct selling companies. But the part that we've realized that's been a little bit of a maybe a disappointment is it's hard to make huge inroads as a revenue channel on Amazon when you maintain that type of price integrity and price premium, on Amazon versus the website, and you don't have the ability to significantly promote as aggressively as other brands do on Amazon with Amazon Prime Day or other things. They're constantly saying, hey, here's the best practices for how to build your brand on Amazon. And those best practices often fly in the face of protecting our channel conflict. And so we opt not to do those best practices on Amazon. We do the best practices that we think are the right ones to also protect our field and our channel strategy there. And so it's been helpful. We definitely are getting awareness. We're definitely getting visibility on Amazon. We also definitely have sales. I mean, it is a revenue channel for us, but it's a small revenue channel. I wouldn't say, it's contributing to a huge portion of growth or revenue. But I think under the circumstances, I'm happy with what we're doing on Amazon, why we're doing it, and recognize that there are some limitations. If you're going to kind of maintain that type of price integrity, it makes it a little bit more challenging to play by the growth rules that seem to help other companies build strong and fast brands on Amazon.
That's great. Really important insights and considerations that I know all of us can go back home on Monday and put into practice there at the home office. So I also want to talk about a recent initiative that's continuing to roll out for you right now, and that's around the brand and brand refresh. Brand image is playing a much larger role in direct selling companies today than it did in the past, where in the past, I think we didn't really put much weight on the brand because we didn't sit side by side with other brands on shelf. So we weren't competing for shelf space or eyeballs that way. But in today's world, in today's social world, we're definitely showing up next to competing products within our feeds, within all the social feeds there. Can you talk a little bit about why you went through this brand refresh and how you went about it?
Absolutely. And, I'm sure probably many listening have been through a brand refresh, a brand redesign, a packaging redesign. They're painful. They take a ton of time. It's a big distraction. It takes money, investment, planning. I mean, it's just, they're painful. There's no two ways about it. They always are. And after 10 years, we just really felt like, it's time. We were proud of our beginnings. I feel like we've always had great packaging, great branding, but it was time to do something different that really elevated further the brand. And I think that's where really it comes back to supporting our field. And that was the primary reason why we went through all the pain and effort to rebrand and repackage, is because, our field knows our product is amazing. Our product, we would stack up next to any other pet product on the market and know that ours would perform as well, but in most cases better than anything else that anybody could find. And we just have an amazing product, and we really don't compromise on our products. And so as a result of that, one of the things that most of us in the industry know, when you have a great product and you don't compromise on the ingredients and the quality that you put in, it also means that it sells at a premium price. You get what you pay for, right? Like most things in life. And it's no different, for us. So we have an amazing product that's also a premium. It's more expensive than most things that people can buy on the market. And so what we wanted to do, I'd say our biggest objective in refreshing the brand was to make sure that when our pet pros, our reps go out there and talk about our products or share something on social media, or even if it's in person at an event and they're showing the product, whenever a consumer or prospective consumer comes in touch with our brand, that they immediately, without words being spoken, they know that this is a premium product, and it's already starting to build that belief in them that they should expect to pay more for something that is a premium product. And so we, without even saying words, we help the pet pro have maybe a leg up when they start to talk about the quality of our products, the price of the products, that they're not trying to sell from a position of, on their heels. They're on their toes because the consumer already recognizes, wow, this looks like a sharp product. This looks like a premium product. And so that was, I would say, at the heart of the redesign was, and again, going back to what we've talked about at least a dozen times on this particular podcast, is appealing to the next generation of sellers. We wanted to appeal to the next generation. And to do that, we wanted a fresh, compelling, clean, packaging and branding look. And I'll say also in connection with the refresh of the imaging, we also took the opportunity to make recycle ready materials. And so our packages, our dog food bags are all in recycled materials. Our treat bags are all in recycled materials. And so recyclable, made from recycled materials and recyclable. So that's also something that the next generation is looking for. So we took that opportunity as well.
The rationale and reasoning that you just outlined, I think, just emphasizes the strategic nature of brands. It isn't and shouldn't be an afterthought, but it does help communicate the positioning, the value proposition, and so much more. And the packaging and everything is beautiful. I've loved watching it roll out. So getting down to the last couple of questions, you've been super generous with your time. As other direct selling companies are looking to maybe develop this test, learn, scale approach, what advice would you give to them when they're looking at new tactics, technologies, and platforms?
Oh, the best advice I can give you is just don't overthink it. Just try something. And I think we get so caught up and it's hard. I mean, I do as well. So I'm not, this is me, preaching to myself as well, but just to try something, just to, don't get caught in overthinking it. Just, get out there, try some things, try it, see what happens, experiment a little bit. Don't be afraid to try it, and don't be afraid to recognize that that didn't work. But I can't actually even think of an example where we tried something, it didn't work, and we didn't get any insights. We always get insights. Even if the thing didn't work, it takes us to the next thing. So it's a journey of experimentation, and you just got to get started on the journey. So that's why I say, just try something, choose something that your heart says that feels like it's going to be the right thing. Trust your gut, trust your feelings, trust your experience, trust the input from the wonderful, teams of people that are around you, and say, you know what, let's try something.
Love that. And lastly, 10 years in, as you look back, what do you feel is one of the most important leadership lessons that you've personally learned?
It always comes down to people. And so, there's maybe a couple ways to slice, what have I learned, leadership lessons that I've learned, but they're both going to be about people. One is surrounding yourself with fantastic people, whether that's, the team of people that you work with, whether that's the people that you hire in the role that you're in, whether that's the field, the field leaders, the people who are driving the business forward. It's all about people, and surrounding yourself with people, excellent people who are the ones who are going to, make things happen in a business. So business, a business might be a legal entity, but it's absolutely dead without people doing the work and doing the thinking and doing the creating. And so, be cautious and thoughtful and careful and planful and deliberate about the people you surround yourself with, and make changes when necessary. And the second thing I would say that's also around people is anytime we as we're in a leadership position of any type, meaning we're trying to encourage somebody else to follow, or somebody else to do something with their choices about themselves, because every one of us are in charge of ourselves, what we think, what we do with our time. A boss can say, you got to go do this, but ultimately a person can choose what they do, how they do it, how well they do it. And so I have always felt that the best way to help people get the most out of their own lives, and therefore contribute the most they can to the organizations and the people that they work with, is to inspire their hearts, to start there. Anything that we can do to inspire from within, whether that's casting a vision, creating belief, building camaraderie, sharing passion, things that stir the heart, will ignite the best out of people. And or maybe even said a little bit differently, it's more of a carrot than a stick, right? It's helping people feel good about who they are, feel good about what they're doing, feel good about how they're contributing. And when people can see that, and more than seeing it, they can feel it, they just they give their best. And it's not because you make them give their best. They want to give their best. And giving their best always helps an organization move forward in a better, faster, more collaborative way. So those are the leadership principles I've learned over the years.
Yeah, the perfect and most beautiful idea to come from a direct selling founder. I love that. Thank you, Roger. Appreciate your time today. Please tell Tammy and everyone back at corporate that we say hello. Thank you for inspiring us to try new things and to forge new paths. And we look forward to continuing to watch the results. We're rooting for you.
Thanks, Wayne. I appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in. Please take a moment to subscribe and give a 5-star rating and review to help Direct Approach continue to provide more candid insights and interviews for direct selling corporate executives. And don't forget to register for the Fall DSU at dsnevents.com. Secure your spot now. Thank you for listening and supporting DSN and the Direct Approach podcast.